How difficult is that to take?
No, it's okay. I mean, it's a situation that was... it was difficult. What's difficult?
When I was 5, my daddy took me down to Eastern Road. He lifted me up high upon his shoulder.
That's going. Well, welcome to the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. This is episode number 28, and as always, I'm Charlie, and I'm joined by Calvin and Jack. How are we doing, boys?
I'm all right.
I am doing good, mate.
Good. Well, it's a big one this week. We've obviously got a lot of stuff to pack into an hour, so we'll get started with it. And Jack, I'm going to hand over to you for this one. So you are representing the podcast and at the Hibs women's game against Spartans, and Hibs won 3-0 with goals coming from Alexa Coyle, Colette Kavanagh and Michaela Mccloskey. So Jack, take it away, mate. Sum it up for us.
Aye, a very, very good performance. I think in the past, the games against Spartans always used to be really, really tight. You know, it was a team that always caused us problems, and they're a team that, you know, they have a big rivalry with us. I'm not going to deny that. I think because of how bad Hearts women are and how badly run Hearts women are, we don't really have that rivalry with Hearts. Spartans, Hibs is the Edinburgh Derby when it comes to women's football. And I think that even now that's the bigger rivalry, and I'll say that, and even for the players, that's the bigger rivalry. So I think it was just great to beat them the way we did. You know, 3-0, such a confident result. You know, last season we got beat by Spartans, we drew with them, and then when we did beat them, it was tight, you know, and it wasn't our best performance. We went out there and we played with so much confidence. You could really tell that the girls are playing for each other and they're playing as a team, and I was just shocked. Going into that game, I would have taken a 1 or 2-0 and been like, okay, good, we've got that one out the way. Just the way we won, brilliant. And Spartans didn't threaten us at all in that game. They had the odd chance, and as always, they were very, very physical. That's what you'd expect out of that sort of game, but not once did they sort of threaten us with, you know, any sort of intent. I don't think I couldn't pick any highlights for Spartans in the game. You know, I think, in all honesty, United played better at them at points when we beat them 10-2. I think Spartans just didn't really have any creativity. The other thing is it was a bit stop-start because Spartans had a lot of, you know, players going down. But I thought, you know, our performance was just excellent, and the 3 goals were excellent as well. You know, Alexa's penalty very well converted, and we've seen it in the Kilmarnock game. She's a very confident penalty taker. She's very self-assured.
Mm-hmm.
That's great to see because penalties are...
I was going to say to you, mate, I seen her brother retweeted that. Did you see that? Her brother, I think he plays for the San Francisco 49ers, and he retweeted the Hibs women's page of his sister scoring the goal. So that was pretty cool to see as well.
That is good. That is good. Aye, so that's good to see her getting the attention over in the States for Hibs. But no, it was a very well taken penalty. Then Colette Kavanagh's goal was great. You know, me and my mates in the stand have got a new nickname for Colette. She's the Ginger Ronaldinho, because she is a really skillful player, and she scored an excellent goal. And then her third goal came from Michaela Mccloskey against her old side as well.
She wasn't scared to celebrate, eh?
She wasn't scared to celebrate, exactly. I like that. She's fully embraced the Hibs now, which I like. But 3 very well taken goals and a very professional, like I was saying, a very professional performance. I can't really say anything else about it. You know, just a great 3 points, and just like I said, beating Spartans the way we did is excellent. And I couldn't fault a single player. Every single player played, you know, excellently. I'd say player of the match, I do agree with them giving it to Colette, to be honest, but I'd say Shannon Leishman. She was one of the unsung heroes of that game. You know, the running she did and the tackles she was launching herself into, and she got an assist for Kavanagh's goal as well. You know, Shannon Leishman was excellent. Katie Rice was excellent out on the other side. Siobhan and Joelle at the back, mopping up when they needed to. Alexa did a lot of running herself. Midfield were on point. And then it was good, you know, and it proves how much depth they have that Dean could be switching players in and out as well. You know, we brought Ellie Adams on. She had a good wee spell. Unfortunately, she didn't score. She nearly made it 4-0 for us. So we did have that, you know, so it shows how much depth we have. But it's like night and day for where we were this time last season. You know, when Dean first came in, you know, global pandemic, injuries, and it was a really sort of, and by his own admission and by the admission of the girls, it wasn't a season we'd expect out of them. And it's just unfortunate, you know, that's no slant on them as a team, but I think the new signings have really helped bolster us, and players we've already got are excellent anyway, and I think that's just helped them. And I really admired Dean because the situation he was in last season, it could have been so easy for him to walk away. You know, he's come in for the under-23s. It's his first experience, sort of first team coaching in a proper league. It could have been so easy for him to walk away, and he persevered. And look at where he's got us now. Because you do well against a team like Spartans, you're going to be up there challenging. I think we're capable. There's a lot of positives to take for that game and a lot to look at going into next season. And like I said, we've got so many great players and so many talent in every area of the park. We're going to be up there.
What do you think was different about this game against Spartans to maybe the ones from last season, Jack?
I think one of the things is it's having our own home. Because when we play, obviously we were in the ground share with Spartans last season.
That's right.
So playing at Ainsley Park, that was regardless of who was nominally the home side. That was a home game for Spartans. They came that pitch like the back of their hand because a lot of the girls in that squad have been through the Spartans Academy and have been playing on that pitch since they're 9, 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So I think having our own home, and I just think it's the squad we've got and the mentality. You know, now that we've got the fans back, the girls are really wanting to give it 100% because, you know, it's always a two-way street with the women's team. As we give so much support, and the girls give it back.
Yeah.
On the pitch, they give it back to us on the pitch because that's what it's like. It's much more tight knit than the men's team. It's much more tight knit, and even at the men's team's tight knit, but so much more tight knit. And I think that's going to really help us in terms of home form. And now we've got a bit more of an identity, even playing at Volunteer Park. And the other thing is, like I was saying, the squad. I no slant on the players of last season, but we've got such a strong group this season. And the players last season were excellent, but we've got such a strong group with the new signings and the players coming back from injury that we just brand Spartans off the park. So I think those are my points for that. Stronger squad, having a home and having the fans back.
I was going to say, Jack, what did you make it? Gallagher not starting?
She's picked up a wee knock.
Right.
So unfortunately she couldn't play, but I don't think it affected us. Again, that's the depth we've got this time last season. An injury like that would have affected us. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because obviously Alexa stepped up and more than filled her boots. But Amy Gallagher had such a good pre-season as well, especially the game we were at, and then the Dundee game as well. Dundee United,
she will be back
really
pretty soon. But I agree, and Shannon Leishman sort of did a lot of the work that Amy would have been doing as well. Like I said, Shannon Leishman's one of the unsung heroes of that game, in my opinion. She definitely did a lot of work that didn't get noticed. You know, probably put a wee hang out about it. But I think she was very, close run for player of the match. So, like I said, I can't fault it. It's a brilliant performance, and like I was saying, how you perform against a team like Spartans sets the tone. Because after Motherwell and the Derby, we've got Celtic. Now, Celtic came second last season. If we can do that performance against Celtic, we're in. So, very good first 3 points. On to Motherwell away next week. That's a game we should be winning confidently. Last time we played Motherwell away, we beat them 6-0. We're going out to Airdrie for that, the Pennycar Stadium. So I think we should, do a number on Motherwell, no problem, and get a confident win and a confident 3 points there. And
what did you? Obviously, you met Ron Gordon at the game, Jack. What did you think of that? Seeing Ron and his wife at the women's game, because that's not obviously in his remit. But do you think that's a good sign that he's willing to go and watch the women?
Very good sign, and I've got to say, such a down-to-earth guy. You wouldn't be able to tell he's a multi-millionaire. It's actually quite funny because I put the photos up on Facebook. My mum thought it was one of the players' dads or something. She just didn't expect it to be the owner. But that's it. He's such a down-to-earth guy, such a friendly guy. And he has so much time. He was shaking hands with folks, speaking to people, has so much time for us as fans. And you can tell he's genuinely interested in the women's team. Petrie and Farmer didn't care about the men's team at the best of times. They didn't. Farmer just left the women's team to their own devices. Ron Gordon clearly cares, and he was blown away. He was saying how much of a good performance it was and how happy he is with the team. So that's a good sign, because hopefully it encourages him to get the checkbook out and get a bit more investment in there, so we can start attracting players over from the continent as well, which I think would be excellent, and attract more of the good Scottish players over as well. Because we'll need the investment if we want to be keeping up with the Glasgow 3, which I think we're more than capable of. So it was good to see Ron there. And we've got to see such a down-to-earth guy, and you can really tell, the club's in good hands at all levels. Yeah.
And I think it was, obviously I've watched the highlights of the game and saw the highlights of the Glasgow City game. And, Glasgow City obviously started really well, winning 6-0. But I think I think we could probably be up there competing this year. I think
Definitely.
from what I've seen, you know, the 3 goals were taken well, and you know, only on the highlights I only seen Gabby English make 1 save. And
Yeah,
it's probably a testament to she only had 1 save to make. So
definitely.
I think we're in a good position.
I think
forward.
that shows you how much of a good goalkeeper Gabby is. She's kept a clean sheet in every game. She's competitive game she's played for us. Because Emily Much started instead of her at the Dundee United game, and we conceded 2. But Gabby's fantastic, and again out commanding the back line. You know, and she's quite far up the pitch, and I like that. I mean, we'll talk about it every time I watch Gabby, but it's something that needs to be talked about. But brilliant performance. And I know a few of the girls listen to this, so I've got to say, well done. You've done the club proud, and it's going to be a big season. You know, Glasgow beat Motherwell, but that's to be expected. Yeah. And then I think the big one for us is Herts getting beat by newly promoted Hamilton. Yeah. I think that's sort of a good sign for us as well, because Hearts at times last season were tricky for us. You know, outside the 6-0 game, they gave us a game at the Orium. Both the times they beat us once last season, actually. So, you know, I think that's. I know I didn't want to stick the boot into them too much because we're doing that later. But I do think Hearts women are going to go down this season. So, like I said, if we can beat the teams like that, like Hearts, like Partick Thistle, like Motherwell, confidently get results like that against Spartans, I think why not? A second should be the aim, because that's Champions League football. Obviously, I'd love to see us go for the league, but being a bit more realistic, because I think Celtic and Glasgow will probably be within more of a shout at the league title. I think go in for second and get that Champions League spot, because it'd be great to see the girls playing Champions League football again. And this squad, easily I can see them being a Champions League squad. Just to sum it up and finish up for the women's game, well done girls, great team performance, confident, best performance I've seen against Spartans ever. And that's including back in the season when we had Jamie Lee Napier and everything like that. All those sorts of players. Best performance I've seen against Spartans. Bright future ahead, big season ahead. That's what I've got to say about that. And like I said, I've just got to reiterate it. Well done, girls. Every single one of you played your socks off and did the club proud.
And I think from the podcast, well done, girls. And hopefully we're going to be able to get to a game, the 3 of us, very, very soon. I were enjoying covering the women's game, so I'm
really enjoying it.
Jack,
Hibs Women Ultra.
Hibs Women Ultra with a bucket hat and all that. Jack, just briefly before we move on to the men's side of things, you released an interview with Alexa Coyle today on your YouTube channel. So do you want to talk a wee bit about that before we move on to the men's stuff?
Aye, yeah, absolutely. A good bit of shameless self-promotion here, but you know, people know I interview the players. I've done Leah Eddy, Ailey Adams, Amy Gallagher, and Siobhan Hunter, and I thought, you know, Alexa is the new signing. It'd be good to get her on. Plus, the form she's been in as well. I think that goal against Spartans is up to her 9 goals now in a Hibs shirt, which is absolute 6 goals in a Hibs shirt, which is absolutely crazy. To start off, so I got Alexa on and we had a great chat. I'm not going to give too much away because you can go and watch it for yourselves, but a great chat about her coming to Hibs, how she settled in Edinburgh, and a bit about football culture in America as well. And plus, Jonathan Spector managed to come up in that again. I don't know how it keeps managing to pop up, but we managed to
the Derby hero himself.
Oh, brilliant. But yeah, so if you want to check that out, guys, please do, because it was a great chat. And Alexa, lovely person. She's honestly great. So great to chat to. So please check that out because it's really interesting. I think a great insight out, not just her playing for us, but also how the game's growing in America at all levels as well. It's nice to hear that America's beginning to take a bigger interest in football. So definitely worth a listen, guys. If I do say so myself.
Jack, tell us what if I wanted to go find that interview, what would I search up? What would I type in on YouTube?
So you just
find you.
Jack Gillies 1875 into YouTube. My channel will come up. Click into that. It'll be the first one there. So get your eyes on about that, folks, because it is. I'm usually I'm quite a self-critical person. I think this one's good, and usually I'm going, I could have done this, I could have done that. But I think this one was really, really good. And like I said, Alexa, a lovely person to speak to, and such an interesting person with how professional she is coming through the college system and the experience she's gained there. So really enjoyed doing that.
Brilliant. I've watched it already. I watched it earlier on the way home, and it was really good. So would thoroughly recommend it. So brilliant summary of the women's game there, Jack. And we'll chat more about it, the women's game next week as well. As always, that we'll bring the weekly coverage of the women's game. So, right, well, let's get into the big game of the weekend. We're playing the Tramps for Gorgie this weekend, so let's talk about that. So before we jump into the preview of the game, we're going to do a wee section on the three of our favourite Derby memories. So we're going to look at our favourite Derby goal, game, and an opposition player that we don't mind, which, to be honest, there's about three of them that might make that list. So maybe less, who knows? So I'll start with you, Calvin. What's your favourite Derby goal that Hibs have scored?
It's really hard to try and narrow it down and not be cliche. There's a few screamers that Riordan would score, like cutting in for the left or cutting in for the right, and curling at top bag. He scored an absolute peach against Gordon one time.
Oh, that's right.
I think it was on the left. He was at the cowshed. He cut in and he just.
That was my first Derby, Easter Road.
Mate, he just absolutely smashed it. He curled it in. It was out of nowhere, and I think Hearts were actually on top at the time as well. And it was just crazy, man. Like just him for anywhere, any foot. He always stepped up in sort of the big moments against Hearts, and he hated the Hearts as well. Growing up, I really liked him. I think that was a great goal. Obviously, the Paul Hanlon equaliser at 2-2, fantastic. Personally, quite like Grant Holt's goal as well.
Oh, aye.
We beat them 2-0. That was a really good game. That was it.
3-1.
That was the 3-1 game.
Aye.
Sorry, aye. Cummins scored as well. I mean, that celebration was beautiful when he was kissing the cup in front of them. All great memories for me. I'm going to have to go ahead and I'm going to say probably Riordan cutting in for the side. He's just an absolute wizard with a right or left foot. Probably my favourite ever Derby goals, that one when he cuts into the left hand side. Must have been about 2004 or something, 2003.
Was about that, because I was about the same year I started going to Easter Road, so
beautiful.
Jack, for yourself, mate, what was your favourite Derby goal?
I've got to go with a classic for the 6-2 game, and it was Sauze's absolute rocket. That was brilliant.
Oh, aye.
In the 6-2 game, because Sauze didn't do normal goals. He only did screamers. Only did screamers. Brilliant, and obviously that game is just such a classic. It's our 7-0. It's our 7-0. Our generation 7-0. So yeah, I've got to go for that. I don't think much explanation is needed there. It's an absolute rocket of a shot from Legod himself, and the best Derby pumping of all time after 7-0. So I really just loved that, because like I said, Sauze scored loads of great goals. Another one I say is the one where Sauze knocked himself out in the process as well. That's another Sauze.
That in the 4-4 game?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. So I've got to go, if out the two, I'd just say the one in the 6-2 ages it out just because how beautiful it was. But I do like it when he knocked himself out in the process. And I think when he eventually got back up and he realised he scored, it was just lovely. So that's my one, Sauze in the 6-2 game, because just such a great goal. Like I said, the great man scored great goals.
Nah, he did. I think mine is probably. I think it was for the sheer reason that we battered them on the park that night. It was Rob Jones's in that quarter final when we beat them 1-0. But we had like 81. We had 81% possession that night.
Battered them.
We battered them that night, and I think they had one shot on goal the whole night. And I just remember I was sitting in the famous 5 behind the ball as it went in, and just amazing. Big Jonesy, what a player!
What a player!
Could do with him for this weekend, but we'll maybe get into that a wee bit later on. So, favourite Derby game then? I'll start with you, Jack. What's your favourite Derby game of all time that you've been to or seen on TV?
That's a tough one, that. My favourite one that I've seen has got to be the 2-1, the Horgan Derby.
Oh, aye.
And I'll tell you why, because we hadn't won at Tynecastle since 2012. They go 1-0 up. And then the wee Irishman, the wee ginger goat himself. We were talking about ginger Ronaldinho's. Well, there's another one. Brilliant. I think that's just the best thing ever did at a Hibs shirt. It's just the emotions of that day.
The only thing he done.
Aye, that's his only game he had for Hibs, but that's all right.
I was about to say, well, yeah, exactly. No, I think it was the only one where he wasn't, lumbering about the pitch like a stale block of cheese. It was it was brilliant for Horgan. Just how he didn't get an inform after that, I don't know. Because I was moaning about it on FIFA. Because they did do an SPFL inform. I think Tav got one for scoring against Dundee. And Horgan didn't get one for scoring a brace in the Edinburgh Derby when he's usually absolutely useless. But no, I've got to say that one. And then just to stick the boot in a bit, plus because it's such a classic, I've watched the takes it over and over again. And my granddad told me all about it is the 7-0. Because what a classic.
I watched that last night.
They can go on about 5-1 all they want because it's a cup final. But we did that to them at their own ground. And I just think, it was excellent. And my granddad was telling me it was before fans were segregated. And him and my Uncle Roy were there. And my Uncle Roy left, I think it was about 3-0. And the next day, my granddad said to him, it finished 7, Roy. And he was just shocked because, but that was back when we used to beat Hearts regularly. So
that's right.
Us winning wasn't a shock, but the way we did. So I've got to say, but the one I've actually seen, that 2-1 Horgan derby, and that was back before Paul Heckingbottom showed his true colours as well. So I just brilliant. Like I said, the feelings of the day, because like I said, first win since 2012 at Tynecastle. You've got to love it. I said the day that Darryl Horgan turned into Roy Keane for the day.
Aye, then proceeded to be Rowan Vine for the rest of his time at Hibs. Calvin, what's your favourite derby?
3-1 Hibs, 3-1 at home, absolutely brilliant. At that time, Hearts were absolute dog meat. They were so bad. They were so bad. And I don't know, it was just like we at that time, like we were definitely the bigger team. We were pumping them quite regularly. And the players we had as well that night, like just it was such a good team we had. Like you've got it was, Marciano in goals, Stevenson, Fontaine, McGregor, Gray, Bartley, Mcginn, Boyle, Holt, Cummins.
Shinnie scored as well.
Shinnie came on as a sub, but just the absolute the first goal, and then Holt done the kind of the incredible Holt when he was doing the big wrestler celebration, then just the absolute shithousery when Cummins scored and he's like kissing the Scottish Cup in front of them, pretending to lift the cup. Just tears were absolutely delightful that night, beautiful. And then as you said, Shinnie came on and he scored for about 30 yards, an absolute ping and a half, and the keeper fumbled it and it went in. And I think they got a penalty, but I think they missed it too.
They did. They also missed the rebound, and then they scored. And they had 3 shots on target that night, and they all came in that 30 seconds. We absolutely pumped them that night.
That just sums up Craig Levine, doesn't it?
Well, it was Ian Cathro.
It was
Cathro.
It was the laptop himself.
No, that was after the derby. Was that the one when he says, "What's the problem? What's the problem? There's no problem. What's the problem?" Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to play that at the start of this episode because that was beautiful. That wee thing he said. But just the fan sign as well. I mean, the place was absolutely bouncing that night, man. And everyone was singing that. That one about Zoom. It was like Zoom. He comes to Cameroon or something like that. He's never won a derby in Cameroon. Absolutely brilliant, man.
And then the derby after he goes and wins it. So it's typical him. So you start a song and it fucking goes back.
You gotta love it though. You gotta love it.
Yeah, we've got to love it, but we shoot ourselves in the foot after.
Mate, I loved that for Hibs that night.
That was
absolute quality.
That was amazing that night. And that was as close to an absolute battering as we'll give them for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
We got a goal rolled out to make it 4-0, and it wasn't offside. Darren McGregor's. So we could have put 6 or 7 past them that night. They were very bad. We should have. I think we had some good chances.
We'd be more clinical. If we'd been more clinical, that could have been 5. That could have been 5-1.
Aye.
I think it was good because I think it's a type of derby where we didn't have many we had some great players who are now superstars like Mcginn and that, but it was just you could tell everybody in that team was up for it.
Aye,
100%. Look at the spine of the team. You've got Mcginn and Bartley. You got Fontaine and McGregor. They were both Hibs through and through as well. Cummins up front. He hated Hearts. Do you know what I mean? It's a good night, man, being there with my dad and that. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I can remember that one for as long as I live.
I was in the famous 5 that night as well, I think, Calvin.
Famous 5 lower, mate.
Was good, I think that's probably my favourite one too, or the other one that was in my mind was you know, I know what to say the 2-2 because that's cliche because that's everyone's favourite derby probably. But there was the one, when Ross Caldwell scored that last minute winner.
Aye.
That was
That
was my first time at Tynecastle, and it was just amazing. Like they hadn't beat them since. Oh well, we beat them in the cup that year as well. But Ken, we hadn't won at Tynecastle since 2005, I think. So
doesn't surprise me.
So it's one of those ones that was amazing, and that the bounce when Griffiths' goal went in, and Ross, I mean, they went 1-0 up right at half time. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Another derby will get beat, and then just amazing. We should have a penalty the last minute too. If Caldwell had missed, I think he would have brought it back for a penalty, but Caldwell just pinged one out of neighbour in the top corner. It was quality.
Top boy guy. That bit of like running for Griffiths in the corner as well, because it was like the 90th minute too, and the boy, whoever, there was a right back tried to clear it, and he just kept.
I think it was what's Jamie Hamill was right back that day.
You're right.
Aye, mind him. He's a strong runner now.
Back a bit.
Aye, he is awful. He summed up that football team, utter shite. Less said about Hotspurs the better, but this one's a bit of an irony of having just said what I've said. So
we're trying to be balanced. Although it's a rivalry, Ken, at the end of the day, it's just a match, and let's see if as much as
is there an opposition player you don't mind?
I'll take this one first, and I think a lot of folk are, maybe going to find this one a bit controversial, but to be honest, I mean, I hated him when he played for Hearts, but I didn't mind Naismith the rest of the time, if you see what I mean. And I'll tell you why. The one thing that changed my opinion on is he was the first one over to put his arm around Kevin Nisbet after he lost his dad. I think I grew a lot of respect for him. He was, when all the Hearts players were off celebrating, he went and spoke to Nisbet and, which I thought was good. So I would say that, but it's Hearts, come on. And to be fair, I know a lot of folk hate him for what he did to us, but there was a certain Mr. Rudolph Scatchell. To be fair, he was a good player, and regardless of what shirt he played in, I'm not going to be an idiot and go, oh, well, because he played for Hearts. He was a good player. And he wasn't that bad of a guy either. I mean, he taunted us, but who doesn't he? Who doesn't he when it's your opposition? Every player in every derby in the world taunts the opposition fans, don't they? So I've got to say, Naismith, I'd say just because he consoled Nisbet, and when he played for Scotland at times he was all right, and I did want him to do well when he played for Scotland. I've got to say Scatchell just because he was a good player, and a lot of folk are probably going to kill me for this, and I'm probably going to get hate mail, but I didn't care because I recognise talent when I see it, and I've got to say Scatchell was a good player. As much as we don't like to admit it as Hibs fans, he was. So that's a good
point, mate. Good point. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't think anyone can deny that the guy wasn't a good player. I'd agree with you. I think he was a good player, mate. Charlie, anyone spring to mind for you?
Craig Gordon.
I forgot about. See, I was going to say, mate. I had to bring up Naismith with Nisbet because that was good of him to do that. You're the club captain. You should be going and celebrating the rest of your boys, but he's right over to Nisbet, arm round the shoulder. Sorry to hear about your dad, and I thought that was really classy.
Craig Gordon for me, best keeper Scotland's ever produced in a long, long time.
Can't deny that, mate.
And it was the same game, Ken, when they beat us in 2 seasons ago, cup last season. But Ken, that some of the saves, man. I think he's just a fantastic keeper, and I think I didn't mind him as a football player, like you're saying, Jack, he's absolutely same way Scatchell, as much as he's a big Hertz prick, he's a good player, and Gordon's the same. I've really enjoyed watching Craig Gordon, especially when he was at Celtic and at Sunderland.
He was
he's just a very, very good keeper, and he could play a big part this Sunday. So
last season in the Championship, he dug them out a lot of sticky situations as well. You noticed that those games that had they not have had Gordon in goal, they probably would have lost or drawn.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there, mate.
Calvin, for you?
Were you finished, Jack?
Aye, sorry.
Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just agreeing with you. But Gordon,
No, not at all.
I think obviously I was going to say Craig Gordon because he seems like quite the model professional. You can tell he's a Hearts supporter in that, but he doesn't. He's not a thug. Like, he doesn't rub it in your face so that he just gets on with it. He's not really that smug. And I think when he's in goals for Scotland, I mean, it's a no-brainer. The guy's the best goalie Scotland have got, and how he wasn't playing in the Euro squad now, I've no idea. No idea. Then now I'd go ahead and say I didn't mind Andy Halliday. I love listening to Open Goal, and I didn't mind. I quite like him on there. He's quite a decent pundit.
Jack disagrees with that one.
He's quite a decent pundit. He's quite a decent pundit. He's quite fair. And I listened to his interview he'd done an Open Goal, and he said that year when it was Hibs and Rangers in the rivalry, and that he said that he always thought Hibs was a very good team, and he spoke quite highly of Alan Stubbs and the players in that. But
he thought he won the cup.
Exactly,
we know how that one goes. Crichton's a good pundit, but I still only forgiven her for what she did to Jamie Lee Napier in the Scottish Cup. There you go. I can't stand Leanne Crichton. But anyway, that's a story for another day.
Aye, so I think there we are. There's our favourite Derby memories, and hopefully we've got a few more to add to that list this season. When we pump them every game we play, hopefully. So.
I'll come back to bite you. That
I know. Watch some Hertz podcast. I'll clip that and play it.
Nah, my most favourite Derby memory, I'd have to say, would be Hibs 4 Livingston.
Mine was when we beat Livingston 7-0 at Easter Road.
Again.
Jack, what about the women's one? Have you got a favourite Hibs women's?
Oh well,
against the Spartans, eh?
Against the Spartans, I think it's got to be Sunday there, but against the She Jambos, against the She Jambos, I'd say when we pumped them 7-1 in the cup. That's when we got to the final. Unfortunately, lost to Glasgow, and Big Shiv, because she hates the Hearts and she's Hibs through and through, scored a hat trick for centre half.
That's
day.
right. That's right.
That's the best. Us between us and Hearts 7-1 and the 6-0 as well, and looking forward to giving them a good see until on the 19th. The girls giving them a good see until on the 19th as well.
Right, Calvin. So we'll pass over to you for the next wee bit of the podcast.
So right, this is our first Edinburgh Derby special since being a podcast, so since being Strong Opinion Hibs. This is the first Edinburgh Derby that we've had to review together. So we're looking forward to it. And we wanted to do something special for it. Usually what we do when it's a big game, like a cup final or something like that, or a semi-final, we'll ask the opponents, the opposing fans, to come onto the podcast to give a point of view from their perspective, just to try and bring, sort of fair and balanced review. But we're trying to do something a wee bit different this week. Just because it's becoming quite a popular thing that now, like other fans going on other podcasts. So what we're going to do is we've got in touch with some people, some fans, some ex-players, and we've given them a wee challenge. We've asked them if they can come up with a 5-a-side team, an Edinburgh Derby 5-a-side team, and it has to include players from both teams. So Hibs and Hearts players mixed together, the best 5 they've seen in their lifetime. So people have sent in a little video. Here they are.
Hi guys, it's Tam McManus here, just to give you my 5-a-side team that you requested from both sides of the Edinburgh Divide. Goalkeeper for me would have to be Craig Gordon. I was fortunate to play with Craig at Scotland under 21s, and I knew even then that he was going to be a fantastic goalkeeper. So I'll go for Big Craig in goal. I don't think there's anybody in my kind of period of playing and watching that came close to Big Craig in terms of both sides of Edinburgh. So I'll go for Big Craig Gordon in goal. I'll go for Frank Sozzi as my other player. Frank, simply put, is the best player I've ever played with. Not only that, a fantastic guy as well. No airs or graces. Came into Hibs, had an illustrious career in France and in Italy, and came in straight away and was one of the boys and one of the best players I think's ever pulled on the Hibs jersey. So Frank's got to be in the team. I'll go for Rudy Scaccio because Rudy Scaccio for me was another very, very talented footballer. Scored a lot of goals for Hearts. Again, has got legendary status over at Tynecastle. So I'll go for Rudy as my midfield player, and alongside him, I'll go for Russell Latapy. I think it's impossible for me not to put Russell in. One of the best drunk players I've ever played with. Not only talented, but could play with a hangover. So Russell's got to be in it. And Another one, the striker is tough because I played myself a lot of talented strikers at Hibs and Hearts. I've had plenty over the years as well. Wee Robbo's just before my time, so I'll not put him in, but I'm going to go for Derek Riordan because if we Deek sees this and I've not put him in, he'll be going to have seen the WhatsApp. So I'll go for Deeks. Deeks again was really, really talented. You know, great guy as well, great boy, and I think that, you know, one of the best players I ever played with both feet. You know, I played with Deeks for a number of years at Hibs and I still couldn't tell what foot he hit was the strongest. So I'll go for Deek as my striker. So that's my 5. Craig Gordon, Frank Sozzi, Rudy Scaccio, Russell Latape and Derek Riordan. Cheers guys.
Hi there, it's Andrew here over at Hearts Goals on Twitter. A wee video for the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. Thanks for sending them a message. They just wanted to know my kind of if we were Edinburgh Derby 5-a-side team, and it had to be with both players. So I was having a look. I don't know, you would probably do the same, but when you're looking through, if you're looking through the Hearts players, you kind of look for someone that you're kind of feared of or scared of to be playing. And for me, one of those was definitely Frank Sozzi. So he's in my team, Frank Sozzi. I think with a 5-a-side team, you've got to have a bit of a bully. And he was just such a good character, you know, dead ball, and always seemed to score a goal from a free kick, if I remember. He'd be in my team, definitely. As well, you know, 5-a-side team, he could maybe have a wee shot on goals if he got a bit tired of that. On the Hearts side of things, I'd go John Robertson straight off. I mean, his record against Hibs is, you know, everyone knows, you know, the 27 goals against Hibs. Not just that as well, you know, good playmaker, holding up the ball. And again, I was talking about if you're looking at the Hearts players you wouldn't want to be seeing on the team sheet. I think for yourselves, it must be, you know, at the time, John Robertson, just always just such a nuisance. Another one for yourselves, I'd go with Russell Latape. Growing up playing football, I was always admired, you know, technically such a good player, scored plenty of goals, playmaker again. I remember the goal in the 6-2, the 1-2 with Pat Alainen, the volley. I mean, what a finish, what a goal. So yeah, he would be in there as well. Obviously on 5 you need to have technically good players. They don't have to necessarily be running about all over the place. If they've got a good touch, then yeah, perfect. So yeah, Russell Latape. So Frank Sozzi, John Robertson, Russell Latape. For the last 2, I'd go as a kind of double act for Hearts, Rudy Scatchell and Paul Hartley. In that season, you know, the 2006 season, they were just on fire, you know, and we obviously played really well in the league. Hartley got his hat-trick in the semi-final against you, always again a nuisance in the derby matches, and obviously Rudy Scatchell as well, folk hero on our end, scored the 2 goals in the 5-1 final, and plenty of other goals against Hibs, and again, just that the left foot, scored so many important goals for us. So that would be my 5. If we had a bench, I would stick in John Mcginn. John Mcginn was always such a good player against us, and again, just a nuisance. Always managed to get a free kick the way he kind of holds up the ball and stuff. So, and obviously doing very well doing it Aston Villa. That left-footed volley, everyone's seen it, was just outstanding. So yeah, that's my team. Thanks for getting in touch, and good luck, not for Sunday, but for your season. It's good to see the 2 Edinburgh teams again doing very well. Hopefully we can do better than the old firm. That's what it's all about. Thanks again. Have a good one. See you soon. Cheers now.
Alright, it's Andy Rogers for Football Bloody Hell, and this is my Hibs and Hearts combined 5-a-side. I'm not having a keeper. I literally couldn't pick a keeper. Pretty hard, this one. So I've went with Frank Sozzi, and he's just going to sit at the back and dictate play. Just doing what Frank Sozzi done for the latter stage of his career at Hibs. I know I like to go for a corner and a free kick and all that, but Frank can just sit at the back and dictate play. Moving sort of forward into midfield, if you could call it that, it'd be Gary Locke. Hard tackling and do some dirty work as well. And gonna go for the players that be in their prime. So Gary Locke to play in midfield, and I'm going to sort of have three players just doing what they want up top. Bringing it back to the Hibs, it'll be Russell Latapi, and he was just one of the best playmakers I've ever seen at Hibs. Unbelievable football player, and gave me some great childhood memories. Going back to the Hearts, I'm going to pick Rudy Scatchell. Absolutely despised the guy when he played against us and just knew he was always going to score, and he scored so many winners against us. Wound us up in every way possible. And to finish off the five, it's going to sort of be like sort of his nemesis, would be Derek Riordan, my boyhood hero. And I might be correct, I might be wrong, but I think he's got the most goals in Derby history for Hibs, at least in the modern era anyway. So yeah, that's my five. I want to thank Calvin and Strong Opinion Hibs for sort of the invite to doing this, and hopefully I'll be back on soon.
Alright guys, how we doing? So here's my five-a-side Edinburgh Derby team. In goals to start off with, Craig Gordon. Back in the day, guy went for like £8 to £10 million move from Hearts to Sunderland. Very big money back in the day for such a young Scottish keeper. And yeah, back then and now he's even better. Like the Scotland game against Austria, the guy was just commanded his box very well, clear communication with the defenders, and he's been a good signing. So he makes my pick for the goalkeeper. Centre back, we're going with a guy that knows all about Edinburgh Derbies as well, 100% committed. And you know he's won a Scottish Cup with the team, and it's Christopher Berra for Hearts. Each time he used to play again, he hated Hibs. He always hated Hibs, and you could see it. He used to just hate it, and he used to love coming to play Easter Road and getting a result, and he used to give us a tight. But I mean, we used to give him a tight too, and the guy was just so committed for the ball and just would do anything to make sure that his team won. So he's getting my pick at centre back. In midfield, we're going for John Mcginn, the one and only Super John Mcginn. The guy's utter quality, but even back in the day, you could tell he was going to be quality. Derby's used to boss midfield. Easter Road just charging forward all the time, making sure we had the ball, driving, looking for the pass, playing some worldly passes, unbelievable, out of this world. And yeah, John Mcginn gets my vote for that. The other midfielder, I'm going to go similar player to John Mcginn, but I'm going Scott Brown. Back in the day, Scott Brown loves winding everyone up, still does, still playing at Aberdeen at this stage, but back in the day for Hibs, unbelievable player, absolutely unbelievable, and you could tell he was special as well. And for that reason, in the derby, he was just unreal, always boss midfield, wanting the ball, taking on players, taking on everyone, looking for the pass, trying to get Hibs up the park, and that's why he gets my vote. And for our final choice, the striker, I could have picked a couple of good strikers because to be in play, but I went for Riordan, solely because his composure, and I just hated Hearts, and that's what I loved about him. Just the fact that he got what it meant to play for Hibs, in my opinion, and he used to love a goal. He used to love a wee cheeky screamer against Hearts, but his composure, always wanting it, just really wanted to score against them 100% in every single derby game, and that's why.
The end of that segment there for the listeners and the people that have wrote in. Sorry, fuck me, man, I'm terrible at this. I'm spitballing it. I'm not reading it. So that is some great teams in there, guys. Some great players. Thanks to everybody who took part in that. That was a really nice little segment. If you're a fan of that segment, it's something we can do again. If you, the listener, have a five-a-side team that you'd like to get in touch with and you'd like to, you can tweet us at Strong Opinion Hibs, and we'll retweet that, and we'll get a bit of conversation on the Twitter about that. However, boys, let's get our own teeth sunk into it. Charlie, do you want to take us away with your five-a-side team?
Aye, so I'll start with the first player on mine, and people might be like, what the fuck's he in that team for? But I'll explain it. So first player is a Hearts player, and it's Gary Naismith. Now, this is he's the Edinburgh City manager for people who don't know who he is, and uncommon knowledge, but Gary is actually my second cousin. So I thought it might be good to keep it in the family and have him in the team. But I do think that Gary was a good player for Hearts and for Everton, for Sheffield United, Aberdeen, East Fife and whoever else he played for. But he played in the 6-2 game and he set up the first goal for Hearts that night. So he gets a win. Yeah, I know. I mean, they got pumped. And but Gary, there we are. He's in my team just purely because he's part of my family. And the fact he was a decent left back. So we'll go with that for the first one.
Good stuff. What about the rest of your team, mate?
Oh, we'll just go right through it.
Just go right through it, mate. Aye.
Right, okay. So I'll have the second and last Hearts player in my team, and the rest is all Hibees. So as Rudy Scatchell, and Rudy Scatchell, I know he is hated by every Hibs fan, but for my money, he is, I would say, the second best natural finisher of the ball I've seen at Easter Road in my lifetime, behind Lee Griffiths. Scatchell knew where the goal was in every derby. I think he scored in most of the derbies he played in, and he just ran us. He just took us for arse paper every time. Was very confident on the ball, knew how to score, loved a goal at Easter Road, loved a goal at Tynecastle, scored against us twice in that cup final. So he definitely makes a team. And now on to the good guys. So got the wanks out the way, on to the good guys. So first Hibs player is the man himself, Frank Soze, top class. And his Hibs reputation probably ended on a sour note with the managerial stint he had. But for my money, one of the best players to ever play at Easter Road. Probably the best, I would say. Other than, well, some people would argue George Best, but in my lifetime, the best player to play Easter Road. Very good player, and we could do with a midfielder like him in the team now. I think he's just class. And wouldn't it be a section of my favourite Hibs players without mentioning my favourite Hibs player? So John McGinn's in there. What a boy. Did he score against Hearts for Hibs? Didn't think he did.
No.
Nah, I think he's one of the only.
Got a few assists.
One of the only teams he never scored against. But John McGinn. What more can you say? If you need a versatile midfielder in your five-a-side team, you've got it in John McGinn.
Mm-hmm.
So there we are, and leading the line up top is Derek Riordan. For the sheer reason that he could just cut inside and just hit that goal past Gordon. Or I think there was another goal that he scored for that left-hand side as well. I think it was a 2-2 game, where I think he scored it for an outrageous angle. So there's my five-a-side, so I'll run through it. I've got Gary Naismith, Rudy Scatchell, Boo, and then for the good guys, we've got Soze, McGinn, and Riordan. So there's my five-a-side. No keeper, because you don't need a keeper with that team.
Right, okay. Right, Jack, over to you, mate.
Right, so I've went a bit different here. I've done like a legends, if you like. So I'm going back a bit with some of these, because I like just to be different, And I'm going to start off with the first and only Jambo that's in the team, and that is a certain Mr. Willie Bald, who was a big player for Hearts back in the 50s. I think we talk about the famous five so often with us, but they had some good players back then as well, and Willie Bald was one of them. And just a legend of a player. And I think if you were to ever have one Hearts legend play for Hibs, I would say Willie Bald Senior, because he was a really, really good player back in the day for Hearts. And in the book about the famous five, he always gets talked about, and Eddie Turnbull and Laurie Riley used to sing his praises all the time. So if you're getting praise for Eddie Turnbull and Laurie Riley, you must be a good player. And he was such a big player for Scotland as well, back in those days, Willie Bald. So I'm going for Willie Bald, but that's the only Jambo in my team. So got that out the way. So next, his partner up top in that team would be the late, great Laurie Riley, of course. I think you can't have any sort of 11 from the past in Scottish football without adding Laurie Riley. And I don't think that needs an explanation. You know, he's my favourite Hibs player ever, despite the fact I was about 60 years too late to see him play. The clips, the very few clips there are of him playing, obviously most of them are for Scotland, but you can just see how much of a good footballer he was. And he did get a few goals against them in his time. So I've got to go with Laurie Riley. So moving back into the midfield, I've went with Frank Soze, and it's basically the same reasons as Charlie. I don't need to add anything onto that. Everything Charlie said about Frank Soze is completely right, and to just say what a legend of a man, and he scored some stunning goals against Hearts in his time. So I have Frank Soze, Le God, and then I've went with my centre half Paul Hanlon. Who else?
Boo!
Oh, away with that. Paul Hanlon.
I'm just
Got to
winding
be
you up.
Paul Hanlon.
winding
Now, this
you
was
up.
a tough one because I was just about to say Yogi, then I was like, nah, I'm going to put Paul Hanlon in instead. Because I think, you know, the equaliser, okay, right, we'll talk about that. So cliche, but he did do that for us. And it was excellent. And plus, Paul always gives it 100% in a derby. And growing up as a Hibs fan, on the Hearts side of town, bearing in mind, he grew up in Stockton, on the Hearts side of town. He knows what it means to play against them. And yeah, so I've got to say Paul Hanlon there, because why no? And then my goalkeeper, I've went my goalkeeper because that team possibly does need a goalkeeper. So I've went with our goalkeeper in the famous 5 year, and that was Younger. And I just think he's so criminally overlooked, Younger. And I think that's, but I just don't know why. I think it's because he was in the same era as sort of Lev Yashin and everything like that. I just don't think anybody talks about him, but Younger was like a Scottish Lev Yashin. And I think he was excellent for us during the famous 5 year. And of course, in the famous 5 year, everybody talks about the forward line, because obviously, but you know, Laurie Riley used to say, without the defence we had and without Younger in goal, we wouldn't be as good as we were, because we only score the goals. Laurie Riley always used to say that. I think Younger, such a great goalkeeper, and criminally overlooked. And like I said, he played loads of games against the Hearts, and he saved our bacon a few times back in the 50s as well. And I've heard the stories about him from my granddad back in that era as well. So I've got to go for Younger. So that's mine. The only one for this, in fact, the only two that aren't for the 50s there were Soze and Hanlon. So I went back in time a bit there when Stalin was no DJ, and there wasn't a wall in Berlin in the 50s actually. There you go. But it was before the Berlin Wall. But
it's always a history lesson when Jack comes on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Run us through your team again, Jack.
So Willie Bald and Laurie Riley up front, in midfield Frank Soze, your centre back Paul Hanlon, and then to stop Hanlon's mistakes, Younger.
Yeah, fair enough.
There we are.
Right, my team, I'm going for a wee bit of a more modern twist. It's funny just listening to you used to and the people beforehand, some of the Hearts boys and that tweeted in, done their videos. It's funny how you're so biased towards your own team, like you choose your own team. It's quite funny just listening to this. But for me, I'm going Gordon in goals. That man has caused me a lot of pain in my lifetime with some of the saves he's made. I remember there was one derby, Stephen Fletcher had a header, it must have been the last 90th minute or something, and it was going in. I'm in the famous 5 looking at it. It was right in the top corner, and he got his hand to it, and I think that was in the 2-2 game. I can't even mind, I was that young. Fantastic goalie. Centre back is probably the hardest position for me. I'll chuck Paul Hanlon in there, cup winner. For me, scored that goal, Hibs through and through. I'll take him. Now, my midfield is where it gets interesting. My second Hearts player in the team's got to be Larry Kingston.
That's a shout, actually. He was
a scary man.
He was brilliant.
He was a scary man. I thought he was massively underrated just because Scatchell stole the spotlight. But what a football player Larry Kingston was. Just in that 2006, 2007 era.
Aye.
Just the way he got used to get the ball and take it down, he was just such a good player, good pass for the ball and all of that. I really rated Kingston. Really liked him actually. I've got to go John McGinn, Super John McGinn. Just how could you not? Just a fantastic player for Hibs. Always showed up in the derbies. Always had that grit and determination. And up front, I'm going the Hammer of the Hearts, Jason Cummins. The Hammer of the Hearts.
That's a team and a half, by the way.
I think so. Bit modern, but always try to keep it different for you guys as well. But I think that for me, Cummins just scored so many goals against Hearts, like so many goals, so many big goals as well, like the header in the 2-2 to bring it back. The 1-0 at Easter Road.
That's right, I forgot about that game.
The replay, the 1-0 at Easter Road. For me, the one even scored at Tynecastle. I think they beat us 2-1. It was when we had the white away strip with the green shorts and the white socks. Scott Allen whipped the ball in right round the back of the fence.
That was 1-1 that game.
Was it 1-1?
Aye,
I thought we got beat.
No, because Jamie Walker scored the equaliser and celebrated.
Was that the time? Was that the time before then? Maybe it was 2-1 because I was
Aye,
there.
because Liam Craig missed a penalty.
Did Farid score that game? Farid scored, aye.
Scott Robertson scored, I think.
Did he?
I think so, aye. I can't mind.
I know
we got beat.
For me, aye, Cummins was superb, man, and then obviously scoring that goal against them and Betetlif in the cup. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So for me, that's my team. Just to run through it again, I've got Craig Gordon in goals, Hanlon centre back, Larry Kingston, John McGinn in the middle, and Jason Cummins up front. So
good team,
top team.
Aye, see how it goes. So thanks for everyone for getting involved in that bit. It was quite a fun wee segment. It was quite hard, and quite a lot of folk that done it did find it really difficult to try and narrow it down. But yeah, I enjoyed that section, guys. So let's jump into it then. We've had all the fun and games. Looked on the past and memories and that. Let's get down to it, lads. Top of the table clash. Hibs Hearts this weekend. What's your thoughts?
Well,
it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. I never liked derbies, but purely because of what it means. But I think the way us and Hearts have both got off to flying starts this season, it is going to be really tough because obviously none of us want to give the other any sort of leeway, if you see what I mean. And I think it's very similar, except flipped on its head, to the one where we played when Heckingbottom and Levine. Remember that?
That's right.
It's similar circumstances if you think about it, except it's first versus second as opposed to bottom versus second bottom this time. So
hi, Paul second bottom, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this time it's Jack Ross top of the league. That doesn't really work. But anyway, I think it's good. They're always tough games. This one's got an edge to it because of how much both of us and them have had flying starts. So it's going to be a wee bit tougher than usual, I think.
I would agree. I think the big thing for me is that we have not played well away from home this season. I know we beat Motherwell and we drew with Dundee, but I'm not confident when we're away from home this season. So I think it's almost flipped on its head. Last year, where our home form was shocking and our away form was really good. I think it's going to be a very, very tough game, and I think it wouldn't surprise me if it ends a draw. I think both teams are going to go for it, and I think if one of us is going to win, hopefully it's us, but we're going to need to stand up to them.
Absolutely.
They've got a very, very attack-minded team, and they just brought in Barry Mackay, who adds an extra depth to their attack. And I think, it depends. Like, is Martin Boyle going to play? Is Jamie Murphy going to play? Is Nisbet going to be ready? We've got a lot of boys away with international duty. So I think for me, we should go in confident because we're top of the league. I know some Hibs fans are a bit like, we've played no one, but we are top of the league. We should be going in with confidence that we're top, and that should hopefully put us in good stead. Full house at Tynecastle, full away end. We're not like the Glasgow Derby where there's no away fans. So, I'm always confident when we play Hearts that we're going to win. Like, that's just like, and there's nothing to back that up. Like, why
you're mad, mate.
Exactly. I'm the opposite of you.
I just think it's going to be a very entertaining game, and I think it's going to be hard to pick a winner because both teams have got it in there to do it. But
definitely,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Jack?
Just think, basically echoing everything what Charlie said, except I'm the opposite of him. I'm never confident going into derbies, and that's the honest to God truth. Is because it's one of those games, and I'm saying this, I think any football fan in the world will agree that a derby the form book goes out the window. You know what I mean? The form book goes out the window, so I'm never confident. But I usually curl up in a corner somewhere until it's over. But
I hate it as well.
It is hard to pick a winner. I think personally, I draw written all over it, but well, it remains to be seen. But I just reiterating everything Charlie said. That we've got a lot of players away on international duty. I think Martin Boyle was sitting out the Vietnam game.
I think that was precautionary,
which is good for us. Not good for Australia because Vietnam are actually quite a decent side, but good for us. So it all depends on what our situation is. If Boyle's fit and Nisbet comes back, in full fighting shape, then I think we could, score a few goals and hopefully, fingers crossed, get the 3 points off them.
Aye.
So yeah, that's all I've got to say on it.
I think this is one of the best. I think this is the best team we've had in a good number of years, and I think there's a real feel good factor around the team. And to be honest with you, on paper, I do think Hibs have got the better team. I think Hibs have got a fantastic team. We've got so many players that can hurt them. We've got Boyle, Murphy, Nisbet, Jake Doyle, Hayes, McGinnis. Like, it's a very strong team. Porteous, Hibs through and through at the back, solid. Hanlon, if he's back with his head injury, hopefully this international break's given him a wee bit more time to heal. Matt Macy, I've never seen anyone come and collect a cross like Matt Macy does, so their physical presence will hopefully be taken away a wee bit, because they are quite a physical team, Hearts, and they usually just tend to bully us. The thing I say is, I say, whenever I watch a derby, I don't enjoy it, and the reason I don't enjoy it is because you could go watch Hibs play the other 10 teams in the league, and we'll try and play football. We'll pass it out for the back. We'll pass and move, and we play really nice passing, free flow and attacking football. The minute we come to play Hearts, it's long ball. It's long ball. It's long ball up to a striker who's like 2 foot and a fart, and it never works. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, we're sitting in the stand and we can see this isn't working. But for some reason, they do it every time they play them. Just get drawn into their way of playing. And I always, when Hearts come to Easter Road and, they're physical, for me personally, and I know I'm biased, but I didn't see them playing nice football. They didn't pass the ball about nice like we do. They didn't, they're not silky as we are. They're just big and ugly. And I wouldn't pay money to go watch that personally. It's just the way they play. It's not a team that I can think, oh wow, like they stroke the ball about pretty well. But for us, I think we play some really nice stuff at times. But I think every time we play Hearts, we just get drawn into this long ball rubbish that we always tend to lose. But the times we do get the ball on the deck, like that 3-1 game we talked about, we're worth our win every time. And I think we can beat them. I think if the game's refereed correctly, because I think Boyle is he's going to be pivotal to our success, and he has been all season. I think if it's refereed correctly and there's no tackles like there was in the Rijeka game, or the Santa Coloma game, sorry, and I could see them getting a man sent off. And am I right in saying the last 2 times we've been to Tynecastle we've won?
Yes.
Horgan and Boyle with a double.
Boxing Day and then Horgan.
Aye, we've not been there since there. You're right.
Right.
That's a good.
Keep the faith.
Come on then.
Yeah. I think it'll be a close game, and I have to be honest with you. As much as I've said that about Hibs, and yes, we are top of the league. I do think Hearts will be favourites, and the reason I think they'll be favourites is because they're at home. I think being at Tynecastle is a big advantage for them. If it was at Easter Road, I think we'd win it easy.
Aye.
But I do think being at Tynecastle, first derby after the pandemic, everybody's got to be there. It's got to be sold out. I do think that'll have a big effect. But I think our players will handle it. I think we've got very good players. Right,
absolutely.
Charlie, this question came for you. Should Nathan Wood start?
I think he should. I think you've got an argument here because Paul Hanlon's meant to be fit, so he'll walk back into the team. On paper, I think Nathan Wood should start and we should go 3 at the back.
I like that.
Who's your 3?
Hanlon, Wood, and Porteous.
Definitely.
Right. But I didn't think Jarvis was going to throw him into I think he'll bring him off the bench, potentially. I think he should start because I think he's a quality player. Captain England under 20s this week, so he's got it in him. And I think he's a big hard nut at the back. I think he would be good. I hope if he starts, he goes right through Liam Boyce. First tackle opportunity, leave one on him and say, "I'm here. Come on, bring it on."
I would like to see that.
Like I think what's maybe frustrated me about us in derbies before is that, and it's Darren McGregor's prime example of this. He's not scared to leave one on them and be like, "Bring it on, let's go for it."
Exactly.
And I think we've not got that. Well, Porteous probably could do it, but Ken Porteous would get himself sent off. But
that's it. You have to take the emotion out of the game.
But I think the derby's the game where you can just be like, "Fuck you," bang, take that.
Just get right into them. Exactly. That's what you want.
Take the game by the scruff of the neck in every position this weekend, and I think we'll win it. I think we can bulldoze them off the park, mate. Like they do it to us all the time. I think if we stand up to them, And if Wood starts, great. If no, then we've got able replacements. But I think he should start. I would start him.
You got an opinion there, Jack?
I agree with Charlie. I think Wood, he captained England under 20. They beat Romania 6-1. I saw highlights of that game on the FA's YouTube channel, and he looked really, he's just a tank. You know, those Romania boys, they look terrified of him. You know, he's a really good player. So, and you want a boy like that in a derby. I said that in the Levy review after the Levy match. I said we need to be more physical. He's going to bring that, and I definitely agree with Charlie's back three, because let's be honest, Hearts are going to be crapping themselves at that.
And the thing with they three is they're pretty tall, and McGinn's not very tall. I think because we know how they play football, they play the hoof, and I think the three big boys, McGregor can jump in if Wood's not ready to start. There you are.
Exactly. I think McGregor can be in there as well. So I have not got to add to that.
Well, I think you made a good point there. I was going to say straight away, no, I wouldn't start him. I just think consistency is key, and I think you've got to go Hanlon and Porteous. However, you make a really good argument with three at the back. I mean, if he did play and it was three at the back like that, I wouldn't have anything to say. I would give it a go, if that's
you've got Boyle and Doig on the wing backs, like they played all last season pretty much. It gives Mcginn a break, because, like I said a couple of weeks ago, he's the scapegoat, and if it gives him a break, great. Although, to be fair, against Livy, he played well. I know we never reviewed the Livy game because we had Mike on last week, but there's an argument that Mcginn has done nothing wrong in the last showing to no start. So
exactly, So what do you think we need to do to beat them then?
Score more than them, probably.
Well, that would be good. That would be a good start.
That'd be a good start.
I think just take the game to them, stand up to them, and then he get pushed off the ball easy. Just stand up to them.
Just stand up to them. Exactly.
I think. Sorry, mate, you go.
They like to bully us. That's what I was saying. You know, they like to bully us about, and you've seen that the last derby we had in front of fans, and in the cup semi-final as well. You've seen that they like to bully us about. So just go and show them that we're not scared of them. I think what Jack Ross should be getting into the players is, it doesn't matter whether they're in a maroon jersey or not. It doesn't matter if it's Hearts or no. We just play our game. That's what I want us to do. We play our game. We keep solid at the back. Don't get any stupid away. Play nice football. Keep it on the deck. We're home and dry. So that's what I think we need to do. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think we just need to take the emotion out of the game. I think we need to look at it as if we're just playing St Mirren or someone else. Like just take the emotion out of it. Play the same football we do all the time, and we'll beat them. If we can play the same way we played against, the likes of, Livingston, even the Motherwell game, like we will beat them. We will beat them. We've got too many good players. I think the Hibs squad is so many goal threats. I mean, Murphy on the left, Boyle on the right. McGuinness has got goals in him. Scott Allen's got that killer pass that can just unlock defences, unlock their defence so many times. Nisbet can put the ball away. Scott can put the ball away as well, hopefully. I don't know much about Scott, to be fair, so it's probably unfair saying that. But, he's an internationalist as well. Team's fully internationalists. And I think we need to get the ball down and play. Can he get drawn into their game of hoofing it and getting emotional and getting flung into tackles and that? I think if we get the ball down and play, I think a few of their boys like Halliday and that will get wound up, and I can see one of them getting sent off. Like,
I agree.
I do. Who's going to be important for us then?
Everyone that you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Actually, sack it the whole team.
The whole team, exactly.
I mean, stick out boys that are going to do it, and just I think it's an important game. I think it really shows us where we are as a unit as well. If we can go there and say we come away right and
sends a message.
Like if we say we go there and win 3-0, that sends a message to the rest of the league. Like we are here. We're not here to make up the numbers, as a stupid phrase, because we're definitely better than the majority of that team in the league. But why should we not be aiming to finish second or top? Again, if we can go there and beat them, hammer them, sends a message. So everyone's important, I would say. The fans as well. Fans are important.
Yeah, fans are going to be massive.
12 man.
I think throughout lockdown, I think there's a lot of negative Hibs fans on Twitter, and I think regardless whether you're watching the game on the telly or you're watching the game in the stands, like just get behind the team. Didn't try and single anyone out. You're not got to be a hero. Doesn't matter if you get 10 likes for saying, "Oh, Paul McGinn's rubbish." Ken, get behind them. It's the only way we can
Exactly.
propel this team forward. If he's wearing a green shirt, Ken,
Back
back them. Stop the negativity. There's a lot of negative folk on that Twitter. Like,
exactly.
So, what are your guys? Who's had a better start to the campaign? Hibs or Hearts? They're morally top.
I'm going to say I didn't care, to be honest, but I think I've got to say purely based on who they've played, it's got to be them. And as much as I don't like admitting it, I've beaten Celtic. Okay, it's Celtic, they're not what they used to be, but beating Celtic, especially when you're a newly promoted team, is not a mean feat.
They got them at a good time, the way. They got them at a good time, mate. Had they had them a week or two later, they'd have been pumped.
I know that. I will say that. I do say Postecoglou's settling in and that. But that was a good win for them. I'd say it's equal, to be honest, though. I'd say they maybe just edges out based on the teams they've played, but it's pretty much equal. I'd say we've had a great start as well. So I'd say both, and I don't really care. I focus on it. I'm going to remodel what Malonga said, and I don't care about the Hearts. So
I'll say we've had the better start because purely on who's top of the league.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We've scored more. We've conceded. Have we conceded less? Regardless, yes. We've got better goal difference, so we've had the better start.
Exactly.
This morally top pish, like get yourself in the sea. Like you've morally top. If you were morally top, you'd be fucking top. Get over yourselves.
I know. It's embarrassing. Like
that's Jambo kickback at it again.
That's bastards. I hate them. Mate, I can't wait for Sunday. I wish I was going.
The thing is, as well, like for me, it's like I don't know how many times I've seen Hearts fans and that say like it's a top of the league class. Like, sorry, them saying they're top of the league. Like, oh yeah, they're joint top of the league. It's like,
no.
Where's the trophy for that?
You're second. You're second.
If you were joint top, you'd have the same goal differences as us, and actually you would be top because of the alphabetical.
There you go.
So you're no joint top. You're second. We're top. Natural order is resumed. Hibs are above Hearts, and that's how it's going to finish the end of the season. And
hey, listen, going off of last season's league table, it's the third best team in the country versus the 13th best team in the country. So,
ooh, yeah, I like that.
Let's go. Right, here's a weird one. Right, what are your thoughts on Hearts tweeting about us at every given opportunity? Did you see the one they done a couple of weeks ago with Deutsch?
Aye,
it was about
when they announced Ben Woodburn, and then we're filming this on Tuesday. And I don't know when this will be up, but they just announced Barry Mackay today, and they also mentioned them in that Hibs almost signed Barry Mackay.
Did you see the vid?
We took this bit off them for God's sake.
Based on what? Because apparently he wanted to play in Edinburgh, so Hibs wanted him. We didn't need a winger.
Oh, I know.
Barry Mackay. He's a free agent for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But it just sums them up, mate. Like they think they're the big team in Edinburgh because they've won more derbies. Who was the last Edinburgh team in Europe? Who's the only Edinburgh team that owns their stadium? Who's the only Edinburgh team that owns a training facility? Who's the only Edinburgh team to
win the league last?
Win the league last. Win the Scottish Cup last. Win the League Cup last. And I could add how many more.
What a clip that is, by the way. Yes.
Like, choose Hibs. Ken.
Aye, exactly. No, but
Ken, it just bugs me. Like, clip that, Calvin, and put it on their Twitter.
That's the 30-second tweet. Aye.
Like, Ken, just get over yourselves. You're a championship team playing in the Premier League. You're not special.
Aye. No, absolutely. I just think, see this stuff on Twitter. I just think, okay, you've got a rivalry. I don't get involved in it, whether it's the club or the fans, because I'm not like that. And I think people know that I'm not like that as a fan. I just think, it's a bit pathetic coming out the club official thing. Like, get a degree of professionalism, eh?
Their Twitter guys are total saddle.
I don't really care, to be honest. They do what they do. Like I said, I'll bring it back. I don't care about the Hearts. So yeah, that's my view on it. I don't really care.
Is that Jack Malonga there?
Yeah, Jack Malonga has spoken.
Malong Gillies. Ken, what would?
That's a euphemism.
See if we beat them on Sunday, right? See if we beat them on Sunday. I'd really hope the Hibs Twitter account tweets out that we are morally top.
Yeah, I hope
I
so.
really hope-
I'd pay Adam to do that. I'd
Well-
actually pay Adam money. He could take my
And
life savings to do
Kim,
that.
what? If we beat them, I'll tweet it. Who's morally top now? You Hertz fucks. But like,
If we get beat, I'm deleting Twitter.
this podcast,
Well-
this podcast is done for if we get beat.
This podcast, we're just gonna have to talk. We could only talk about the girls after this.
We'll reincarnate ourselves as Hibs 2021. We'll call ourselves Sevco or something.
Exactly.
Pretend we're
We'll
the
get a bit of
same.
Rangers bashing.
Right.
Mild opinion Hibs.
Aye.
Aye, just a bit sad, man. I mean, I don't really see Hibs tweeting about Hearts ever. Because I follow Hibs. I don't want to see Hearts on my Twitter feed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they tweeted out a few just for the listeners who haven't seen it or who maybe aren't on Twitter. They tweeted out one a couple of weeks ago when they signed that Ben Woodman, the Welsh boy, and they put something out like, here's some great Welsh folk, and it was like flashes of famous Welsh folk. I didn't really ken many of them. I think it was like Ryan Giggs and some guy for Love Island and a few others I didn't even ken. But there was one of Deutsch, and it had like a big X through it to cross Deutsch out to be like he's a bad Welsh person, and it's like, ha, very funny. Like, wow.
In the bin.
And then their fans start stealing our songs again. Ken,
Oh, mate, that's cringy. See, when I seen them do that, they were doing that. Do, 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 do. Right, and then they go, Hibees. They were going jam tarts. I was like, ew, what you did?
Yeah,
what you did?
And then they stole the Martin Boyle song for Ben Woodburn.
Oh,
Come on,
mate, that's tin pot, eh?
And then
they've
chored our Kyle McGinnis song for one of the other players. It's like, come on.
Guess no originality.
Aye, I think we should.
Few things for us, know them.
Soon they'll be singing Jambos, 3 Rangers, 2.
Ken and name it be Jambos 5, Hibees 1. Ken.
I didn't give them any ideas, Charlie.
Right, Hertz, I hope you're not watching.
I can't. But honestly, they've got quite Shan Patter, to be fair.
I think we should stop talking about them and.
Aye.
Let's move on now. I think this is a good place to stop.
Yes, take it away, Jackie boy.
So we've got the kit numbers. This week it's 28. Our Acton's fans, I could say in Germany. Yeah, I had to add that in there. So your options for 28 are as follows. It's Jamie Mccloskey, Ross Campbell, Alan Gow, Callum Booth, Lee Griffiths, Scott Robertson, Anthony Stokes and Chris Maxwell. I'm going to take this one away first and say Stokes because who put the ball in the Rangers net twice? So who put the ball in the Rangers net twice? Stokes. That's me, and I just think he was a great player for us, especially in that championship season. So I'll get that one out the way quickly. Just Anthony Stokes, because hero, hates the Rangers and helped us to that Scottish Cup. So I'll go across to Calvin first. Who are you picking out those number 28s?
I like Lee Griffiths a lot, but I don't like thinking about Hibs at that time because it was such a shan time to be a Hibs fan.
It was.
So I'm going to go with Scott Robertson in the revival years during the championship. Thought he was massively underrated. I think he spent a bit of time at Dundee United in that beforehand as well. He was massively underrated, especially in that 4-0 game when we pumped Rangers. Superb, man. He was really, really good. I really liked Scott Robertson.
Yeah. Okay. Now across to the big man. Who's your favourite 28 then?
Oh, it's going to be Chris Maxwell, eh? Well, joking. He was.
I know that he's going to have to split his hair.
To be fair, he's now playing for Blackpool. He's doing actually all right for himself. But he was hopeful for him.
Mate, you couldn't pay me to live in Blackpool, eh?
Shit hole.
Well, yeah.
Worse than Gordy.
Come on, Calvin. It's not that bad. I think for me, I think I'm going to go Jamie Mccloskey. And I think he was just he was a good wee player when he came through at Hibs. And I think he was one of my favourite players back in, I think it was 2004 he broke through. So I'll go with him. Because you're right, Griffiths, better number 9, but also that Hibs team was shocking. And Callum Booth wasn't very great. Ross Campbell, I didn't mind him. Alan Gow was all right, but I'll go Jamie Mccloskey.
Right. No, and I just went for Stokesy because, like I said, who put the ball in the Rangers net twice.
Aye, that's true.
So then finally we've got our listener questions, and we've only got the one this week. And if you could have one player from the past play in your team this Sunday, who would it be? So I'll go across to you first, Charlie, and then I'll get mine out the way after you've said yours. I've got to think about this one.
That's a hard one because we've had so many good players, eh? Is it? I would probably say Marvin Bartley. Now that's probably an unpopular. It's probably an unpopular.
Great shout.
But purely on the fact that in the middle of the field you need a hard man against the Herts. Okay, it was either him or Scott Brown because he loved the wee wind up of the Herts too. So Bartley, I think he just got up for every game. So I think he would probably have a wee bit steel about him in the midfield on Sunday. So go for him.
I'm going to say for me, I've got to say the one player I'd happily have back in the team on Sunday is going along the midfield theme, Super John McGinn. Because, I mean, need I say more? Just pulls the strings, best midfielder we've had in years. Certainly, one of the best midfielders we've ever had. Yeah. I'd go as far to say. And he just did so much, especially like in the 2-2. If it hadn't been for John McGinn, we might have not got that goal back. So, I've got to say John McGinn for me, simply because he's such a great player. Across to you, Calvin, who would you have?
I'm gonna keep up the theme of Johns, and I'm gonna go John Abika.
I didn't think that's clever.
Hey, John Abika, down.
Oh, John Abika, I would happily have him with Hibs.
Right.
Build him a statue, just do it. The East stand's now the John Abika stand.
I thought you were going to say John Hughes or something there, but John
Abika.
No,
John Abika.
That's a good shout. Well,
just taking the mick at it, Ken.
What did Edward as well for what he did to them in that cup final?
John Abika, that's beautiful.
French.
They would sound like a Cummins fanboy, but he used to. Oh Christ! I just broke my drawer.
No style, no bottle.
I'd have to say McGinn's probably the obvious one. Would Riordan do well in this team? I just feel like we're a bit light up top than away with Nisbet. I don't know much about Scott, so I'll probably chuck Riordan up front with Nisbet.
See Riordan with Scott Allen in behind him.
That would be
Scott Brown. I'm going Scott Brown. Scott Brown. Mate, he's a hard man. We need Scott Brown in there. He's a hard man. Hates the Hearts.
Scott Brown, Marvin Bartley, and John McGinn. Oh my word, we would not lose a midfield battle ever.
That'd be class, man.
That midfield is sexy, but I think that wraps us up, does it not?
Certainly it does, mate. Certainly does.
We'll be back to review, hopefully, a derby win. Jack, are the women playing this weekend?
Yeah, I talked about that earlier.
I know it's been a wee while since we spoke about that. Actually,
Motherwell, aye.
Motherwell.
She's fine, thank you.
Yes, come on.
Boo.
Yeah, she's fine, thank you.
Yeah, the last time I heard that one, I laughed so hard I fell off my dinosaur.
Jack, last time you fell for that was when I tweeted about it.
Well, that was hungry.
Oh, aye. If you're hungry,
we'll not go doing that with again.
Right.
So, but I think, but like the last time we played Motherwell away, beat them 6-0. So I think we'll get a confident result. Motherwell are not a particularly great team. I know they signed Leanne Crichton, but she's done. So I think hopefully a win. Hopefully a big win, and that will lift their spirits if things don't go our way at Tynecastle. So hopefully a big win for the girls.
What you mean to say is, Jack, they'll lift their spirits even more after we've pumped them at Tynecastle. So we'll be back. We'll be back to review both games. And until next time, come on, Hibs.